I've never been a fan of muscle cars because they are too loud, unrefined, and very unforgiving. But they do know how to make a car go fast and loud, and that's what we find out on this week's episode of The Tech Inside. The car in question is the 2014 Camaro 2SS. It's not the V6 nor the Z28, it's a classic 6.2-liter non-blown V8 Camaro. This 2SS trim level comes with more than your standard set of luxuries than a typical Camaro. Now we can start out with the seats, and they look great initially, and they feel good initially as well, but after a few hours of driving, especially on the highway, these seats will get really tiring and it also will ache your back like no one's business. Next off is the dashboard. First, you see good things, right? You see leather on the dash, you see just kind of some soft touch material around, and then you see this weird gray faux plastic that's just really tacky and very cheap. Over here we have some pretty cheap material as well. And then you take a look at this. What is this? Is this a Casio G-Shock or something? Because these are hideous. It's your AC controller, but it looks like a Casio G-Shock, a pretty big one too. And then we get to the display, which is actually not a terrible thing. It's running Chevrolet MyLink. It is a touchscreen only, but there are 4 capacitive buttons on both sides, and there's also 2 control knobs that control volume and the menu select button. Now in terms of media, you do have Bluetooth streaming and also have XM satellite radio, AM, FM, no HD radio. Also, when you do hook up your smartphone to this car, you do have Pandora and Stitcher, which are nice additions to have. Now the navigation is a little busy. First, the resolution of the display, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. Things are sort of clear, but right here, there's just a lot of things on the display. I have parking lots, I have photo. Maybe it's because we're in a downtown area setting, but there are a lot of things going on this display, which I wish I can simplify and refine. There is no 3D mapping option, it's just a flat 2D display. Inputting destinations is pretty easy. You can either type in the address on the touchscreen or use the voice command option.
Please say a command.
Navigation.
Please say a navigation command, or say help.
Address.
Say the destination address.
1810 Cherry Street, Kansas City, Missouri.
I found multiple results. 4608 Cherry Street, Kansas City. Goodbye.
The voice entry, it's not perfect. You can say a full street address with the state and city in there, but it's not 100% accurate, and I've had that repeated number of times, and I've said those addresses as clearly as possible. Driving this car is kind of frustrating. It's big, it's loud, and it hurts your wallet at the pumps. But if you don't mind those 3 things, you'll love this car. 0 to 60 in this guy comes in around 4.8 seconds, depending on how you shift the manual. If you get the automatic, well, let's just not talk about it. It's certainly not a luxury car, but it's not as rough as I thought it would be. Most muscle cars are really hard to drive, they're really bumpy, and they ache your butt all day long, but this car, it's not as bad as you think. You do have 425 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque at the disposal of your right foot. And it sounds pretty good as well. Apart from the power, I think most of you can tell how bumpy the ride is, and I've come to realize that these cars, even though a bargain for the performance figures, just don't make sense, and I think that's exactly why people still buy them. You don't buy these for your family car, you buy these to fulfill your childhood dream of owning a muscle car. Pricing the 2014 Camaro is not a hard task at all. Basically, if you want the convertible, the big V8, and the technology inside, prepare to pay over $43,000. If you don't really care about it, you can get a stripped out Camaro Coupe stripped out with the V8 engine for about $35,000. Not a bad deal if you like that kind of thing.